Please have your seats. Everybody ready? I'd like to call to order our July 25th, 2013 council meeting. I'd like to welcome everyone. Don't forget there's only 7 more months left till Christmas. We are going to have our council president, Ken Martin, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, after which I will give the invocation. Dear Lord, we ask for your guidance. We ask for you to give us wisdom. We ask for you to let us cooperate in the sense of fellowship towards achieving what is best for Macedonia. Amen. Now, as I'm up here, I would also like to ask everyone to say a prayer for a gentleman that's hurting right now. He had an accident. He's not doing very well. His name is Ed Morse. Ed Morse goes back a lot of years. He was a council person. He's always cared very much about this city, and right now he serves as one of our planning commissioners. So let's have a moment and take a quick prayer for Ed to get better. Thank you very much. All right, first agenda on the agenda tonight is minutes. We have some minutes. Do I have a motion to accept?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes from June 30th, 2000, oh no, I'm sorry, June 13th, 2013.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Thank you. We'll have to hang on a minute.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I'd like to acknowledge receipt of the financial report dated June 30th of 2013.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Before we go any further, I'd like to give our secretary here a chance to come back. She had to go get something. While we're waiting, I'd like to say and thank Jim Snyder. You're here from the Akron Zoo. You people have done a wonderful job down there. Maybe we can go out of order here a little bit and let you start your talk while we're waiting for Josephine. How about that?
Great.
Okay. Jim, right over there is our mic. And let's hear about that wonderful zoo we have down there.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the opportunity to be here. I'm a 20-year board member. I happen to be the vice chairman of the board, and I'm chairman of the construction committee. And so, but really, my purpose tonight was to make sure that the citizens of Macedonia knew that their upcoming community days are August 18th through the 22nd. And I've already been asked a number of times, but someone here has a whole bunch of free tickets to the zoo. I'm not sure who.
I do.
Okay,
Recreation Center.
all right, and do you still have some?
We do have some available.
Okay, good. If you run out, we have more. But one of the reasons we like to do that, and we do it communities throughout Summit County, is first of all, we want to perhaps assist some less fortunate people that don't have the financial resources to get to the zoo. Number two, we have done a lot recently, and we want to make sure that people that either have never been there or haven't been there for a long time come and see what we've done, especially because Starting the year 2000, we were part of the Summit County tax levy, which passed. And so we do have some Summit County funding. And we want to make sure that the people of, in this case, Macedonia, understand what we've done with your tax dollars. And I guess to that point, a lot of you have a flyer that shows some of the accomplishments we've done since 2000. The first thing we did was we started opening year-round. In anticipation of greater crowds, we built a new parking lot. Then we did a small project called Wild Prairie. But then we did the Welcome Center, which is the huge building when you first enter the property, along with the Lehner Family Gardens and a penguin exhibit. And by the way, the gardens have just been submitted for accreditation as a botanical garden. So they're impressive if you haven't been there. 2005, we opened Legends of the Wild in Komodo Kingdom. 2006, we progressed with our endangered species program with birth of jaguar cubs. 2007, same thing with penguins. 2008, we did jellies exhibit. 2010, we did another new parking lot and also a conservation carousel. 2011, we did a redo on our farmland program, which included a new train and also a large area for rental for, especially corporate rental for picnics or functions. Last year, Journey to the Reef. And then last weekend, we opened Grizzly Ridge, which if any of you are subscribers to the Beacon Journal, you saw a fairly substantial pictorial of Grizzly Ridge on Saturday, front page as well as other pages. And then the Plain Dealer had a front page story on Monday. In just the first 3 days we opened, we had 10,000 people. So basically the Akron Zoo has come from virtually nothing. We have a board member who I believe lives in this area, and some of you know him. He used to refer to our zoo as a duck in a bucket. Well, we've progressed from that point to last year we had 330,000 people. We are the largest for-pay exhibit between Columbus and Cleveland. So we think we've come a long way. We think your tax dollars have been well spent. I happen to be the chairman of the construction committee, so I'm pointing the finger at myself a bit, but every project you see on that page was done on time or early, at or under budget. And so there aren't very many public or private organizations that really can say that. So we're very proud of that. We think the tax dollars have been put to very good use. So rather than take any more of your time, this time I'll just answer any questions that you might have.
Just while we're at it, Jim, we do have tickets at our front desk where our gals are. I can't tell you if we have them left, though.
Okay?
All right, but perhaps Monday, if you can get my card or my phone number from Josephine, and give us a call, and we'll let you know how we're doing with tickets.
Okay, good. And the distribution point for the tickets, I believe, is on the first flyer.
Yes.
So,
If you're a member of the Cleveland Metro Park Zoo, do you still have the reciprocal agreement for admission?
50%. They did 50, so we did 50. Any other questions? Thank you for your time.
Very good. Thank you, Jim. I commend you on what you've accomplished.
Thank you.
All right, now we're going to go back to our regular agenda, and let me inform Ms. Arcisi, on the minutes, Mr. Molnar abstained, and everyone else voted
We didn't vote.
yes
Oh, yeah, we did.
to accept. And then on the financial report, it was unanimous yes.
Thank you.
All right, this next part of the meeting is public comments. One of the things we ask you to do is, if you want to speak tonight, we ask you to sign up We have 4 signatures here tonight of people who want to speak. We ask you to please try and limit your comments to 5 minutes. First name on the list this evening is John Casmer.
Good evening, everyone. I'm John Casmer, 35-year resident of Macedonia on Chinook Trail. I'm speaking for the Longwood Manor Historical Society. We are a nonprofit group of unpaid volunteers restoring the Longwood Manor in the park for the residents. I have 2 pieces of important information for the residents about that. First, the good news. The proof of our success is now on the roof of the Longwood Manor. $7,000 of roofing materials were delivered about a week and a half ago, and our volunteer roofer is completing the installation. Even at this time, with the shingles not completely installed, we have completely stopped the water that was leaking on the main beam in the house, which had to be replaced last year because it was rotten. Jobs being completed at not a penny of taxpayers' expense. Inspire Roofing donated $4,000. LMHS paid $3,000 plus $1,500 for a roof permit, which was not a permit, a roof plan, which our building department required, was completed by our architect. The work's being done for free by a skilled roofer with slate experience. And Fike Builders of Macedonia are a general contractor. They allowed us to use their dump truck while the tear-off was going on, as well as erecting a scaffold on the front of the house for the roofer at no charge. I once got an estimate from a local roofer, supposedly sympathetic to the manor, who said the job would cost $40,000. This shows what can be accomplished by residents of this town who are concerned about the manor and Longwood Park being maintained as the first mayor wished it when he gave it to the residents in his will. We also had a meeting this Tuesday at the building department with Mr. Ladd, Jerry Piasecki, and I believe it was the fire chief who was there, and our architect David Smith, who presented his initial findings on the change in use. The architect who's working with us is extremely knowledgeable in the Ohio Building Code related to historic buildings, which this manor is. LMHS is also paying his architectural fees for that. Again, we're hugely helped by his generous fee rates for us, knowing our situation. The second piece of information I have is this. I received 2 emails this past week before the Planning Commission meeting from someone I don't know with an email sender name of T.J. Geis. The first email had an aerial view of the proposed wakeboard lake in Longwood Park, which looks like the layout that was presented at the Planning Commission and in the newspaper this week, and asking Longwood Manor Historical to support this plan, saying the manor could be used as office space for the park. When I told them we couldn't support it because it would ruin our beautiful park, I received a second email, which I brought with me because I want to read part of it. This was sent to me, same sender ID, Thursday, July 18th. I was told you are a waste of time. I guess that's right. Did you ever even look at the drawing I sent you? Look again and maybe you'll see the building in the middle of the drawing. It's the it's the manor house. It's going to be demolished. There will be a meeting next week to approve these plans on an emergency basis. Once approved, the mayor will proceed with the tear down. I cannot verify, council, who that email is from. It's just an email address that sent it to me. They did have an authentic photo attached with it. I can simply ask a simple question. Mr. Mayor, did you intend to let the manor be used as office space for this private enterprise after requiring Longwood Manor Historical for the past year and a half to do architectural plans and to do the repairs required by the city on the house? Because the money and services donated in good faith by a great many persons was intended to preserve a historic house, not to provide office space for a for-profit enterprise. The persons who contributed have a right to know tonight how the city is going to use use the house, and if their donations are going to be for the purposes it was intended for. Thank you.
I really hate to get into talking about emails because emails fly every which way and things are said, but I would like to bring up a point. John, you should know better, because John, you know very well that that building, the Manor House, cannot be used for commercial use unless it has sprinklers, unless it has HDA accessible entrances. So, you know what? That's a bunch of malarkey. Whoever sent you that was just trying to stir up trouble, because if you want to use it, the rules are no different than if they want to use it. Rules is rules, period. And they cannot use that building. It's against the law. It's condemned. Enough said. Moving on. Michael Miller.
Michael Miller, Berkshire Drive, first came May of 1986. Forgive my limping, I'm growing old in service to my city. I wanted to do something new tonight. I get a lot of emails, and I just wanted to read a few of them, short, brief, on the topics. The one's about the Longwood Park, the use. It says, "We need the green space to remain. Don't lease our precious parkland away. Please keep our Longwood Park for the use of all the people." That's a 34-year residence. Another one says, "I'm writing you in hopes that you'll pass a proposed legislation regarding land donated to the city. It's terribly sad to me that the city is willing to and keeps trying to give away our green space." I'm paraphrasing some of this. "This property was never given to the city for these types of things. Please leave the green spaces here. I moved here 30 years ago because it was quiet, a peaceful place. Not anymore. Remember, you work for and represent the residents of our city. Try doing something they want for a change." I didn't want to read that part, but it says, "If nothing else, this would be, should be on the ballot for the people to decide." That's Doreen Woods. "Macedonia Park legislation, we're asking to support and return our parks to the citizens of Macedonia by voting for legislation to do that. Our parks are Macedonia's most valuable asset as open land and as a natural resource for the present and the future. Thank you, Steve and Barb Cornick." This is a long one, so I'm going to make it short. "As a resident since 1978, I want to say a big no to moving ahead with the water park. Years ago, they tried to push the Field of Dreams and wanted to have a full 18-hole golf course. The golf course vote failed 5-1 at the ballot, even though it was advertised as being wanted by 7 out of 10 people. We don't want to see the same thing happen again. This should be put to a public vote. There's nothing wrong with some parkland. Once you develop the land, it's gone forever. And this one is one of the few only green spaces we have left in the city, Ellen Hoare." So just to let you know, we do get a lot of emails. They don't normally get passed on. I want the people to know that if they do send something to council reads them. Oftentimes they can respond on their own, but I thought it was easier just to read these than to spend an hour on the phone, on the computer responding. Okay, that's it?
All right. Next on the agenda is Dan Havlicek.
Yep, he is here.
As most of you know, my name is Dan Havlicek. I have lived in this city for 56 years. Nobody in this room, I don't think, has ever served the government and the people of the United States more than I have. Over 35 and counting. I also have had 2 homes in this community. My children were raised here. My children went to school here. One of the biggest pluses that I ever saw was once upon a time, we had the biggest park in Summit County, private park, and that was Longwood. And that was because of the generosity of a man who could have sold it, given it to his son, given it to his own family, and he didn't. He gave it to the residents of this community. It's a beautiful park. The only reason it's the second biggest now is because Twinsburg has Liberty. But this park, as Mr. Miller mentioned, once it's gone, it's gone. The sad part is 40 acres of it, plus or minus, are already gone to a 2-club golf course that is paying us, ladies and gentlemen, a whopping $1,000 a month to lease 40 acres. Now remember, when they're leasing it, they don't have to pay the real estate tax, which means the children of this community get screwed over, okay? They didn't have a vote to put that in except by council. The people did not vote on that 2-club golf course. They never had a chance to say yay or nay. It's there. And it's tying up 40 acres of prime real estate that belongs to the park. Worst case, the city didn't file the proper paperwork with the county. So the county said to the city, that property is now going to be taxed. Currently, correct me if I'm wrong, the city is $250,000 behind in real estate tax on that property, okay? And they're arguing that they shouldn't have to pay it. I asked the gentleman who is sitting in the back over there, both of them, Monday, why can't you find property in 5 communities that you can put your water park at? There's a huge golf course that's sitting vacant at the corner of Hines Hill and Route 8. I told him about it. Here's the difference, ladies and gentlemen. They would have to buy the property, or they would have to lease the property. In either case, they would have to take money out of their pockets to do it, okay? And of course, the property would be taxed. Well, they say, no, we're going to put it here. The reason they want to put it here is the same reason that our 2-club golf course is here. They don't have to pay the real estate tax. They don't have to worry about the liabilities because the city is on the hook pretty much over the whole thing. So now these individuals want to come in here, steal, and that's the correct term, steal the property that they want to use from the residents of Macedonia. And in return, they want to give us a commercial enterprise that they will make a profit for. This is not what that old man wanted. I met him only twice. I am much richer because of it. That old man wanted that property for the residents of Macedonia. He wanted them to enjoy that property. The ball fields, the soccer, the diamonds, having the fireworks that was just there. All these other things, okay? He didn't want it divided up by a bunch of lease-hungry, profit-hungry companies. I say it's the wrong direction to go. I say those people here who want this not to be should get their voices heard. Now, I should point out that I am, in fact, a member. Matter of fact, I'm the vice president of the Longwood Manor. So maybe somebody might say, well, you've got a vested interest. Yeah, I do. I want to see that man's house restored and to be a jewel in this community.
Can you
That's my
please
vested interest.
summarize? It's
Yes.
5 minutes.
I would like to see the residents of this city, who hopefully are seeing this, write in to the council and to the mayor and express the fact that they want to keep this park, green space, and basically, I'd like to see the 2-club golf course kicked out. Okay? If that makes me an enemy, and by the way, I'm already on several people's S list. I'm already suffering repercussions, okay? A number of them. I see Mr. Barker smiling. He's well aware of it, okay? It's called revenge, ladies and gentlemen. Let's try to gag Mr. Havlicek. Even though he's a 56-year resident, even though he served his nation for over 35 years, none of which any of you did, okay? Let's try to gag him. And if we can't gag him, let's give him enough trouble to do that.
Could you summarize?
Yes, one more thing. Those of you who are here probably don't know this, But 3 years ago on Halloween, this gentleman showed up on my doorstep, unannounced, without a warrant, without any notification, prior notification. I was shocked. I asked him what he was doing there on my property in a plain unmarked car, okay? He said, well, I've been sent here by the mayor to talk to you because we understand, the mayor and I, that you have issues with him. Does he do that with every resident who has an issue with this mayor? He was there for 47 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, and I recorded every single second of it. He knows it. He was told I was recording it. He was told that I would have that on video, on audio. Okay? That to me is revenge. That to me is intimidation. That to me is not American. That's not why I served 35 years in the Navy. Okay? I served it because I thought this country needed my service. I'm sad to say it looks like some individuals don't feel that means anything. That's all I
Mr.
got, Mr. Mayor.
Havlicek, thank you. All right, moving on. Next is Brent Moses.
Good evening. Thanks for hearing us talk about this. We're here to talk about the property. We were representing Faith Fellowship Church. They came to us asking to look at their property. They have a beautiful piece of land that has wonderful views from it, and they took us through and asked us to help them in developing this land and helping them figure out a way to make it so that this could be developed in a way that served a purpose that went alongside the church's values in serving community and helping people. So we started from there and looked at the best ways to help develop this piece of land, and it's due to its topography. We determined that it wasn't really suited for single-family homes just because the infrastructure costs, because of the topography differences. It take a lot of work, a lot of money to get the property to actually work and function as a developed piece of property. So we're here tonight to just present the idea, become familiar with everybody, because we would like to work with the city and Faith Fellowship Church to come up with the best use of the land. What we determined was that the top piece of land would be best used for senior community, and that's part of what Faith Fellowship Church thought was a good use, is to assist, help keep people from leaving when they have to find housing for people getting a little bit older, and assisted living. So we are asking to have that designated as RSC zoning, and then the front piece of property is R2 zoning. Both of these allow for a higher density than R1 zoning, which is what we feel is necessary to make this a successful development. The other mission that Faith Fellowship Church has asked us to do in representing them in development and ultimately the design of this is that we keep the quality aesthetic that they already have. And if I'm sure everybody's familiar with Faith Fellowship Church, it's a beautiful piece of land. The church and the buildings they have are beautiful and kept up really well. And the idea behind this would be to match that. That's a statement that's been driven home by them many times. So.
Well, thank you very much, but before you end your explanation, could you please stand right here, in that up in the ceiling is the camera? And we'd like, oh, yeah, that'll work too, yeah. So that they can see at home, and maybe one more time talk about what each area is.
Sure. Just so I remember, the orange area that we have shown is actually the top of, and if people haven't been to this, the top of the property that's actually behind the church, the elevation change is really huge. And they have, this piece of land has been leveled out, and it's relatively flat up top. That location, you can actually see on a clear day, you can actually see downtown Cleveland and downtown Akron.
Wow.
Very, very unique piece of property. And it's amazing, and it's so close to so many amenities, and yet it feels very secluded. And I think that that's, from our vantage point, that's, I mean, we're not asking to have it rezoned as anything that would really affect neighbors in the first place. But by the same token, this is a unique piece of property, and then it feels so secluded, and it doesn't affect that much that's around it. And the R2, which would be just for multifamily and a little bit higher density, would be the piece of land where there's an existing drive right now that leads up to that higher sort of plateau. And being able to get that to be a little bit higher density than single-family homes would be very useful.
Is this designed for church members only, or can anybody someday live there?
Anybody.
Will they still own the property and they're gonna develop it so people can build and then the property's leased, or will they sell the plots of land?
Well, one of the things, right now, we're trying to discover the best way to either have them be a partner, have them sell it to development and partner, and just have them have the right to oversee the design and implementation. They're gonna have a voice no matter what happens, but
In perpetuity or just during the construction?
during the decision-making process of how the land is split up, whether they're partners in the land and still have their name on it, or if they sell the land outright, which I think that they want to have a hand in that, but that's all part of the development process that we have to
Still
go
in the
through.
planning stages then?
Who is behind the proposal? Is there investors? Is it just the church? Is there people backing
Well, the
this?
church, I'm with Moda Design Group, we're an architect, and we're working with Testa Companies right now, who's development builders, and we partner together on a lot of projects, and they asked us as a team to help them figure out the best way to use the property.
Is this part of their
so they're-
ministry?
Excuse me?
Is this part of their ministry, or is this just a business deal?
Well, they want to have their ministry extended into it.
Okay.
And we have yet to discover all of the different potential financing options, and that's kind of where we're at. We're very early in the process because we know at this stage, this is the zoning that we would prefer to go
Is
forward
that your
with.
first hurdle, is to get the land
Yes.
zoned?
Right.
So it's
Step
compatible?
one, and that's why we're so conceptual at this point, and then we have obviously a lot of steps after that point. We fully expect to work with, we'll be very familiar with everybody here because we would plan to come back for approvals for design and all the necessary site and engineering approvals that we would have to get. So it's just understood that right now, all we're talking about is having this zoning change to accommodate the best use of the land.
So the proposal came from the church and this Tesla, do you call it?
Testa companies.
Testa? So
in
Testa
Claudia
is the one proposing the senior retirement home?
Yes, we did come back, we came in last year looking at a specific use for, it was a senior center or senior elderly home that had 50 units and a assisted living that was 50 units. And it might end up being similar to that, but we're kind of stepping back now and looking at bigger picture, broader brush approach to it, so.
Your anticipation is 50 retirees?
That was a particular approach that we took when we weren't able to go through with that last year. That was a particular funding source, and that would dictate how many units we would end up with. So we're backing up, and there's several different approaches that we could take.
And you're
And-
planning on going the ballot, all right?
Yes,
Okay, and assuming you get approval, then that energizes the program in such a way that you'll then decide how you want to attack the situation.
right.
See, it
ahead.
looks like there's 25 acres. How much more property do they still own if this is rezoned?
They still have, I believe, 30.
All the stuff in the white there, I'm assuming?
Yeah,
Okay,
yes.
so they still got a lot more land that'll be.
They have a lot more land, they
Buffer
have
there.
more room both to move. The north end of the property that they've kept, we tried to get them to see as far into the future of what they might want to do. And this is the remaining land of what they thought they might use in the future. The part that's in the center here is all currently woods and a pond, and it's beautiful, beautiful land. And that's actually part of what we want to help them do as part of the development, is to restore there's an arbor, there's an old cabin. We want to restore the property to its original park setting, which is pretty close to now, but it needs some work.
Shane, I believe it's like 50-something acres, 50-something acres you have?
Yeah, they have, I believe it's around 30 acres left, and I apologize. I
Okay,
don't
well,
have
that's what I was thinking, is that they get 7.28 and then 8.2 for the rezoning, so about 25 acres, something like that.
Yeah.
Just have to ask, because in the past, when we put a rezoning on the ballot, the person that asked for the rezoning paid for to go on the ballot initiative. Is that something they'd be willing to look into?
Not in the general.
It's in the special.
Not in a
election.
general.
Only the
Yeah, okay.
special.
Just in the special thing, but we still made them do, okay.
Yeah,
You're gonna go in November?
Yeah, it's only on,
The way things are working out here is these gentlemen have come before planning, and planning told them that they needed to get a referendum on this particular zoning. So they went back to the drawing board, and they also collected a petition with the number of signatures required to put this on the ballot. Then they came back to zoning, and our planner said there's not enough information at this point in time to say anything about anything other than this would work as far as the way you want to zone it. So the planning commission gave authority to you to continue on to the next step, which was to come before council. When you're done, and if it does get that way, all the drawings, all the specs, everything will go back before planning, right back to square one, just so we understand.
Absolutely. We're on
Okay.
the same page.
And you know we have to have a public hearing, and we'll probably do that.
Correct, and members
August, I'm
of
assuming.
council, we're looking to work with the city and council. If we get council approval, that route as opposed to the initiative route, it goes on the ballot, and that's the approach we're taking right now. The legislation is gonna be introduced. We just want to introduce you to it. We're gonna be working together, you're gonna be seeing us in the future. But what we are asking is for council approval of this rezoning, and then it goes to the ballot. So we want to take that approach, as opposed to the initiative approach, because we believe in working with the city.
And you do know that it has to pass through the whole city
Yes.
and in that district.
That's right.
If it passes in the city, fails in that district, it's done. Okay? Just so you're aware. And thank you for your presentation.
By the way, are you taking a look at fee simple transfer here?
I don't know, that honestly, that's part of what we still need to discover, because it depends on who.
Because if you're taking a look at PUD, you can't do that.
No.
I'm kind of confused about what you're looking to do here.
We can't, well, the PUD wasn't a successful approach for this, and we did look at that last year. That's one of the things. But we're looking for, we know that the development type that the church is interested in and the density that we need to be able to make it work is within the seniors' elderly
Well, I
housing.
know that, as far as the density is concerned and so forth, I mean, that's an easy one. But I'm a little bit confused because you're talking about, fees, pardon?
What density are you looking at?
Well, we know we need it higher than R1 would allow, so.
But you've just said an amount that makes me think you know, so my question is, what density are you proposing?
We're not proposing that, that's what I'm trying to say, we're not proposing density at this time. We need to discover, there's a lot of, we backed up far enough where we need to find the right financial partners for this and work out the deal. with
Testa shouldn't have a problem coming up with the money.
No, and that's a whole other issue. We need to just know that we have the zoning before we can finish anything. You can't go and make it work without having the zoning in place in the first place. So before we do any design work or figure out the specific density or figure out how it's going to get financed, where the funding sources come, the deals with the church as far as the property goes.
So what you're looking at then, quite frankly, is you're looking at the density that is permitted, you're looking at getting a variance on that. That's correct,
No, we're
right?
looking to change the zoning from R1, which is what is this whole property right now, to RSC for the
Is
orange.
RSC going to allow you the density that you're looking at?
Yes.
What is the RSC density?
I don't remember off the top of my head, I apologize.
Okay, because you see, I'm a little bit concerned because, you mentioned about fee simple and you're talking about the transfers there. Because I'm not sure that that fits in with the vision that you're certainly purporting here.
I don't know how, and those are all things that we will come before you and we will
Well,
work
so
with
you don't know
on.
then, is that right?
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Whether or not
Because-
this gets split up or not, I don't know.
Because you
We
see,
know we need these
we have to be very careful here.
Okay,
And the reason we have to be very careful is that for a period of time, the church put a gas well on the property.
okay,
And when the church put the gas well on the property, quite frankly, there were a lot of people who lived in that area who weren't quite happy about it.
okay.
And I think that's why that this project from this council deserves scrutiny. And when I hear things being presented, and you're telling me now that, well, I'm not sure, I don't know, I'm not totally sure what we're looking at. I did know that
We're
you had.
simply looking at the rezoning, and the idea being, when we do come, we have a lot of other hurdles we will have to cross.
Because I think what is extremely important, because first of all, you people had professional solicitors out at our fireworks display. I mean, none of them lived in Macedonia, and when I asked them about the project, quite frankly, the information that was transmitted to me was rather incorrect and very rosy. Because I was being told that, oh, we're gonna help out the senior citizens, and we're gonna build a senior citizen complex, and we're really doing this for the good of your community. And the thing is, if there is going to be a rezoning here, and the city is going to approve a rezoning, I want to know what's going to be placed there prior to that rezoning taking place. So that's my concern, and I'll be quite above board on that.
Okay.
Because the way you explain it is, we're gonna get the rezoning, and then we're gonna determine what to do. But this council needs to ensure that if there's going to be a rezoning of property next to, contiguous with, a residential area, and you have lots of homes up there in that entire area, you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
I think that the residents there, who have already made investments and who are already living there, need to know what's going to go in.
And
Not-
part of what, I think, we understand that, and we plan to come, there will be public hearings for any improvements that we do. And I would
Because-
anticipate that we might have to go through that design approval process, who knows, 2, 10 times. We will come before and make it public and go through the approval process for every bit of work that we would ever put on this. What we're saying is, there's a lot of due diligence ahead of making determinations, and the first one, we can't have everybody invest a lot of time and money into specific plans to get the zoning changed and not have it get changed, and then we're all out $200,000. It's not, there's enough construction that will need to happen up here to complete this vision of the church, that it's gonna be a substantial sum of money, and
And
that's why we
likewise,
wanna take
our
step
residents
one.
have spent a substantial sum of money to live, build in this community. So when you talk about a substantial sum of money, the substantial sum of money that I'm talking about is a substantial sum of money that our residents have paid. And they are entitled to the quiet enjoyment of their property. And I think, and that's why, when I was approached at the Longwood Park, when we had our fireworks display there, by the professional solicitors, one of whom said to me, I was just told to tell people that this is going to be just a really great thing for the community, and that we're going to be helping out senior citizens. It makes me wary,
okay.
because we want to work with you, but at the same time,
I will say,
not going to allow our residents to be shortchanged to the extent that a rezoning takes place and then something goes there that is totally opposed to what they thought they were getting, and secondly, that ruins the quiet enjoyment of their property.
I understand.
And those are the investors I'm concerned about, those hundreds of people who live there.
And I understand your comments.
Mike, could you weigh in on this as building commissioner? Do we have safeguards in place so Mr. Martin's concerns are addressed.
Well, yes, I mean, RSC is pretty stringent on what is allowed and what isn't allowed.
What's the density for RSC and the density for R2 as compared to R1?
Well, plus we're
I'd
talking about,
I'd have
it's
to-
been mentioned too, fee simple transfer too.
I didn't mention
So-
fee simple transfer. I'm not, we haven't gotten into that.
Well, you did, when you
I-
talked
I
about the
never said-
transfer of ownership of the units, so that's where I picked that up. I have all the faith in our city in terms of the respective ordinances and the building department, making sure that this is done well. But sometimes, when it's presented, the gap between the ideal and the reality is pretty much a shadow. And I want to make sure that we definitely know what we're getting here. Because what I was told at the Longwood Park, when we had our fireworks display by your professional solicitors, is much, much different than I'm hearing right now.
I will tell you, one of the reasons why terminology like that will come up is the same reason why Faith Fellowship Church approached us. Testa Companies and has a long history of doing very successful, well-kept developments, and also with senior living, multi-story buildings, single-story buildings, single-family homes. Their method of putting things in is always top-notch and meant to enhance a community. That's the idea, and that's what we aim to do along with Faith Fellowship Church. It's not successful if it doesn't serve the community. If it doesn't serve the community, it doesn't stand the chance to live over an extended period of time. And that's the goal. And it's the goal of the church to have it be a beautiful place so that they don't start losing parishioners to move outside of the city, outside of their parish,
Most of their parishioners are outside the city, actually.
or
We know
to have
that-
them move in.
We know that that's a very unique piece of property because of its topography. It's the highest spot, I'm sure, around. And the few houses that you see to the north and people to the west are our concern.
It's very well
It doesn't
shielded.
make sense to put single-family homes there anyway.
No. The infrastructure costs alone make it not possible.
And I think it's important to understand, we're here, this is step one. I mean, in order to get the correct zoning in place for the subject property, because of its uniqueness, because of the topography, R1 is not appropriate for the property. Zoning is conceptual, it's big picture. What would be allowed are the densities and the permitted uses in the senior center district and the R2 district. Step two, once the zoning's in place, plans can be developed with the specific densities. And it'll go through the proper channels with the city, with the public hearings, and can be definitely, and we're expecting it to be scrutinized, and it should be scrutinized. It's
Remember, R2 permits apartments. So as soon as you get that zoning, if you wanted to throw up a few apartments, big ones, you could.
And if it's,
You could throw up an apartment that could literally be, house 120, 130, 140 people with the property that you have, even more.
it would have to comply with the city's regulations, and to the extent it impacts adjacent properties, there's a site plan review process where all that is brought in.
I'm familiar with
to
the
be vetted.
procedures. I'm talking about the impact in the community and what's going to be done. That's what I'm talking about. And as I mentioned before, I mean, in that area up there, because I talked to quite a few people, the gas well did not go over well. And Mike, you talked to some of those people. How did they feel about the gas well?
Well, that was a big no-no for the residents nearby, because we had no control over it, and they could do it. They had a fire, though, we had to come put it out. We'll all be looking at this, not to say that it's not a bad idea, and it's not to say that it's not needed in the community. We've done some other things to try to help our own seniors who live here who need to downsize. I'm looking to downsize. You know, I might want to join that church just because I'm going to get a deal on a condo. However, we're just not going to get burned. We want to partner with you. We want to do everything that you expect of us on a first-class basis, and we want you to tell us the truth and be upfront with us and work with us. And I guarantee you'll have a world-class project if you do that.
And that's what
Because it's
we
an
hope for.
unusual spot. It's a spot that really needs a number of eyes on it. And the residents around there, input is so important. Some of our residents have been burdened in the past, and we're not gonna let that happen again.
And we've been burned too with a lot of problems, and you're gonna be under scrutiny, and our prosecutor, Mr. Martin's gonna be all over it, so thank you for your time, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Can I
Hope
ask
it all
Mr. Deemer
works
a
out.
question?
Sure.
Mr. Deemer, at the hearing, I see along the one side there's 17 lots. I'm not sure what's on the other side. Will those people be given notice of the hearing?
Yeah. I could,
It's part of the process.
It's my understanding we have to have a hearing on this, right?
yes, yes.
That's the hearing I'm talking about.
The council hearing on whether or not.
The public hearing.
We
The
haven't
public.
asked for legislation yet, so.
What I do with my
Yes.
notes? Josephine.
And yes, they'll be given notice?
Given notice.
Okay.
All the contiguous, Mr. Godaddy and I have been, all the contiguous property owners will be notified.
Are there any other questions? If not, thank you, gentlemen. You've done a nice job. I think everybody understands. All right, let's move on to pending and/or new legislation, starting with ordinance number 65, 2013.
Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance 65, 2013 for its third reading by title only.
Second.
An ordinance adopting the recommendation of the Planning Commission and of rezoning certain parcels of property from limited industrial district to the general industrial district.
And what's your pleasure?
I move that we pass and post ordinance 65, 2013 according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Ms. Darrow,
Yes.
Mr. Engel,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Molnar.
Yes.
Ordinance 65, 2013 passes. Ordinance number 76, 2013.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 76, 2013 for its first reading by title only.
An ordinance amending the zoning map of the City of Macedonia, Ohio to rezone certain land from R1 Resident District to RSC Senior Citizen Residential District and R2 Residence District.
Moving on to
Excuse me,
Mr. Mayor,
Mayor.
may I just point out, as these gentlemen had pointed out to us, this is part of a process. But today, we did the first reading of this proposed rezoning ordinance, and we need to provide 30-day notice of a public hearing and special meeting, and this will be set by and for August 29th, 2013. Now, on August 22nd, we will do the second reading of this proposed rezoning ordinance, and as I mentioned earlier, on August 29th, 2013, we will have a public hearing followed by a special meeting, at which time the third reading of the proposed rezoning ordinance and subsequent councilmatic action. And on September 6th, that is the Board of Elections filing deadline of the proposed rezoning ordinance to appear on the November ballot. Now, the thing about it is that that's why we have to work within a rather speedy timeline here. And Josephine, you're taking all the steps. In fact, you were very kind to outline this procedure for me, and you did an excellent job. But we will be holding the second reading of the proposed rezoning ordinance on August 22nd, and on August 29th there will be the public hearing followed by the special meeting. And I notice also there's a note down here that no less than 20 days prior to the public hearing, our clerk is responsible for mailing notices to all the owners of properties that are contiguous or abutting the area of the proposed rezoning. So everyone is going to have an opportunity, they've been informed about what's going to take place, about the opportunity to speak on it at the public hearing and the proposed vote.
Yeah.
Thank you very much,
Ken?
Josephine.
Ken, does that include the people that live across the street?
It does, it just,
Only?
no, it includes everyone who's across the street. The code is very clear, I just didn't.
Everybody who's connected around?
Right, you could see, yeah, it'll be even the Valley View people across the street.
Thank you.
I just, it was for brevity, but it's very, code is very clear.
Thanks, Josephine.
Moving on, resolution number 77, 2013.
Shane?
I'd like to offer Resolution 77, 2013 for its first, second, and third reading by title only, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
A resolution approving an amendment to the Summit County 911 plan recognizing a new public safety answering point to be created by Copley Township in the cities of Norton and Barberton, who have funded the Southwest Summit Council of Governments. SWESCOG.
All right. Before we go any further, this is a reaction to what has happened recently south of us with the flooding in Barberton and so forth and so on. So they're getting together, and all they're doing is asking for acknowledgement from the other communities in Summit County. What's your pleasure?
I move we pass and post Resolution 77, 2013 according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Mulner?
Yes.
Moving on, ordinance number 78, 2013.
I'd like to offer ordinance number 78, 2013 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Jim,
It-
I'm sorry, Josephine, Jim, maybe when she's done, will you be ready to tell us about this? Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a grant agreement with Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District with regard to the Macedonia Recreation Center handicap parking lot project.
All right, Jim?
It's a stormwater project, and the reason it becomes stormwater is because we're using a pervious asphalt on the parking area that we're taking the 6 handicap spots that are on the far end of the rec center, 240-some feet, and we're gonna move them up front to the entrance where the other ones are, putting all 12 closer to the building. So it's better for the handicap, they'll be much closer to the building, and it's 100% reimbursed.
And
we're
you're
using our
removing the island that's there?
No, the island stays.
The island
Where
stays?
the existing parking spots are there, directly in front of the rec center. Anybody familiar with that? We're gonna also add 3 on each side of it. That way we have all 12 are in that area.
And the pavement you will use is special, so that's
Yes.
what allows this to be funded.
By the stormwater. It's a
And that's
pervious
smart.
material.
That's very smart, thank you.
Does it have the same longevity as non-pervious?
Yes, one of the drawbacks about it is that it does have to be vacked, literally vacked, cleaned. With this money, there's enough left over. I'll be buying one. It's a walk behind because it's an area where we could do it quite simply. And it's every 6 months. It's like, you have to keep it clean. It can't get covered.
Like a
because then
screen, so that keeps
right,
that in
you
the
know,
water.
It has to stay porous.
So you're unclogging leaves and little debris.
Right, we'll keep it clean of leaves, any type of debris, and it's just a maintenance thing.
This is gonna be a way of the future, you know, people are gonna be
Yes.
doing this in their driveway.
And we'll be able
Actually,
to probably
yes.
look at other grants like that for parking areas.
And it's a good thing you're telling people, because I can just imagine some people see your men out there vacuuming the parking lot,
Yeah.
and they'll be saying, oh my God.
What are we doing?
All right, but this is necessary as part of the getting the grant.
It just keeps it open, porous.
What's your pleasure?
I move that we pass and post ordinance number 78, 2013, according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Mulner?
Yes.
Ordinance number 78, 2013 passes. Resolution number 79, 2013.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer Resolution 79, 2013 for first reading by title only.
A resolution appropriating funds for the Macedonia Recreation Center roof repair.
Mr. Mayor, before we go on, during the work session, we discussed amending it, so I'd like to offer the amendment at this time. Is that okay, Josephine?
Oh,
Mr. Deemer?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. I'd like the amendment to be to Section 1 to add that the said funds will be taken from the the Recreation Fund? Is that the official name, Ken?
Yes.
Okay.
do you have a number, Scott? Is it 101?
205 fund.
Oh, I'm sorry, 205, yes.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
And who was the second on that?
Second.
Thank you.
First, it's first reading, we don't need a second. do we?
We think we have
No,
to
we
vote
have
on
an
the
amendment. It was an
Oh, I'm
amendment.
sorry.
Okay, and all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
That was the
Opposed?
amendment. That was.
All right. Since that was the first reading, we'll move on to ordinance number 80, 2013.
I'd like to offer ordinance 80, 2013 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance to authorize the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, Division of Wildlife for fishing events in 2014 and accept the grant award of $4,350.
All right, and
Pleasure.
well, actually, what I want to do is have Scott say a few words, just a few, Scott.
Thank you. Just as another award, last year, on June 15th, we had almost 100 kids participate in the first fishing day, and we reapplied for the grant. We asked for a little bit more because we were going to do some winter, smaller events with the rec center coordinating it. So we were awarded the grant of $4,350, and the kids that participate will get the fishing pole and some tackle, and we had a good time. We had food, lunch was served. So this was another grant that we applied for and received.
All right, good job. Mr. Deemer, we have a problem. The next resolution, number 81, 2013,
We
council
didn't
has
adopt it, sir. We didn't
has
adopt-
decided not to entertain that tonight.
We didn't-
However, that's an open position that needs to be filled. Administratively, this is a problem because we have a person that's qualified. We have a position that needs to be filled immediately in our department. Scott, can you tell me if the money has been appropriated for that?
Yes.
So in other words, it's just a matter of this girl moving in, and we came to council as a courtesy. We need somebody to fill that position. Where do we go from here if council doesn't want to entertain it? Because this is the second time we've come back to council, and we can't seem to make this happen.
Mr. Mayor?
We just got to go ahead. We didn't finish with the resolution
Yeah,
before.
Yeah, we're doing the
And
resolution.
then we can come back. We didn't vote on the fish one.
Number
Which-
80 still needs,
We got to vote on the.
What's your pleasure on number 80?
I move that we pass and post ordinance 80, 2013 according to law.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Only if you consider adult fishing next year, so those of us who have never learned how to fish would have a chance.
You know how to
Yes, I don't know.
And Mr. Mulner?
Yes.
All right, thank you. That passes. Good job, Scott. Now, resolution number 81 of my concerns. Can you look into that for us?
I will,
Because,
Mayor. Is it not going to be read then tonight, or?
well, it was decided by council not to address it at all. And this is the second time it's been before council, and we've tried to follow each recommendation of council to the letter. And we have this spot administratively as the chief administrator of this city, I've got an open position. I need this girl bad, and she's actually filling 2 positions.
I'll give you an opinion on it, Mayor. Is you gonna leave the number on it or take it off the agenda? Is that what you're doing?
Well, they left the number, and we're moving on now to the next one.
Yeah, Mr. Deemer, the number, it's been pulled off the agenda, so it would have a new number. Secondly, this was considered back in May, and we are being presented with the same resolution again. Thirdly, it also involves a jump in pay grade from 3 to 5. Council needs to take time to take a look at this. This was added to the agenda only on Tuesday, and in addition to that, council received no memo or no information at all. So pending the receipt of necessary information, we'll be able to consider it.
Well, what do we do in the meantime?
You can have Mr. Deemer give you an opinion on it.
Exactly what we're doing. Moving on, ordinance number 82, 2013.
Mr. Mayor,
Okay,
I'd like to,
just for clarity purposes, I thought council removed it. Did you remove it with
It
a
has
number?
been removed.
I have,
So there's no number on it?
There's no number.
on it.
well,
Thank you.
then the next one's 81?
Yes, yes.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Well, see, now I had 82, Rita had 82. A
Thank
little
you,
bit
Mr.
of
Mayor.
confusion.
I thought
All
we were
right.
keeping the
Thank
number,
you.
just so.
Yeah, that's what I thought was said. Because all the way down the line, we go 82, 83, 84.
Josephine, what would be better for you? Do you want,
The law department, it hasn't been offered, I don't know how it could have number, but Mr. Deemer will decide.
I think it's probably better to leave a number on it because the mayor has the right to introduce legislation.
We'll just leave 81 on it, Joe. Thanks.
Ordinance number 82, 2013.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 82, 2013, for its first reading by title only.
I'll read it in just a second. Okay. An emergency ordinance creating section 9519, right, excuse me, 95119 of the codified ordinances prohibiting city-owned land currently designated and/or used as public parks and originally deeded and/or donated to the city for recreational, athletic, and conservation purposes from being used, sold, leased, or developed for any commercial activity.
Moving on, ordinance number 83.
Just excuse me, Mr. Mayor. I had, Councilwoman Darrow had introduced this legislation, and she just introduced it very recently. Mr. Deemer, what I would like the law department to do is write a memo on this particular legislation and address what you feel are the positives about it and the negatives, and explain it. Secondly, this legislation was introduced in connection with the proposed water park in the city, and there have been some issues of the fact that an employee has been involved in the water park and perhaps is a principal. I really don't know. However, I think it's best at this time that, because of some of the issues raised, that the city avoid any appearance of impropriety in this matter in terms of its consideration. And what I would like to do is have Mr. Deemer, if you could be so kind as to submit this question to the Ohio Ethics Commission and have them issue an opinion on it. That way, this should forestall or eliminate any questions concerning the propriety of this arrangement. And I think we would all be better off by having an opinion in that area. Could you please do that?
Will do.
That way we can let the proper folks decide this, because there have been questions raised, and I certainly want to make sure that the city is on all fours here.
As well as a conflict of interest, Mr. Deemer.
Yep.
Okay.
Ordinance number 83, 2013.
Ken?
I'd like to offer ordinance number 83, 2013, for its first reading by title only.
An ordinance amending section 33718 of the codified ordinances of the city of Macedonia outlawing jake brakes on motor vehicles operated in the city of Macedonia.
When I was here for the meeting on the DOT, with the DOT concerning the sound barriers that are going to be installed within some of our neighborhoods, a number of people mentioned that they were concerned about jake brakes. Jake brakes are a device within a truck which restricts the flow of air into the engine of the truck. It slows it down, but it also produces a very, very loud squeal. And that's what you hear sometimes when you're on the highway. But about 5 or 6 residents asked me to propose this measure to council, and they feel that it would be beneficial. I told them that in the past that our law director had felt that it was very, very difficult to enforce, but they felt that we should perhaps have it on the, have an ordinance regarding this, and that the presence of the ordinance would restrict this kind of activity. So we're doing a first reading so council can consider it.
While we're talking about this, Joe, at one time, I think you and I talked about that type of signage on an interstate. So they're looking for this to be located on 271. My recollection is that we can't put signs on federal highways.
No, we wouldn't be able to put signage on the highway. The last time we did this, I exempted 480 and 271. The last time we considered this, I exempted 480 and 271 on, from being posted that way. So we'll take a look again at that too.
Sure. Moving on, resolution number 84, 2013.
I'd like to offer Resolution 84, 2013 for its first, second, and third reading by title only, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
A resolution declaring the month of August 2013 Summit Kids Month in the county of Summit.
Very good. Moving on, are there any other? Oh, I'm sorry. What's your pleasure?
I move we pass and post Resolution 2013 according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Molnar?
Yes.
Actually, that seems like such a given that we should do something like that. It almost passes by itself. Are there any other motions or legislative actions this evening?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion authorizing the police chief to accept on behalf of Macedonia Police Department a donation in the amount of $100 from Francis Mazinski on Florence Drive in Macedonia, and she instructs to purchase equipment for officer safety or to reward them with a pizza party.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any other motions or legislative actions? Any correspondence from the clerk?
I just have two. This is to Service Director Digitano from Lynn Martinez. Thank you for getting back to me so personally. I was hoping, since all the signs on North Bedford were already done, that oh my goodness, that Navajo was not done yet. I love the new signs, and thank you for making the corner of Seminole and Navajo look a little nicer than it's looked. Makes me smile every time I drive down North Bedford. It is extra special for us because, and she goes on about her dad who passed away and thought the other signs were stupid signs. So she just thanks him for his expediency, the professionalism, and to the fellows that prepared the signs.
Good job. I'm sorry.
This is from the Department of Public Safety, the Division of Fire, to Chief Black. I would like to express sincere appreciation and thanks for the assistance rendered by the members of your department for the recent search for Nicholas Schaefer. He was a 12-year-old boy that was lost in mud book in the Timber Top complex, which people just read about recently. With the assistance of the many area departments, the massive search effort was launched with everyone operating under the umbrella of the Summit County Special Operations Response Teams. Although everyone is aware of the eventual outcome, rescuers pulled together immediately to give Nicholas a fighting chance. Within a very short time, searchers were combing the banks of Mud Brook. It should have been Mud Brook, I'm sorry. He actually has Mud Brook, a fighting chance. Within a very short time, searchers were combing the banks with several boats in the water, also carefully searching. I want to thank everyone for their participation in this effort, but I also want to take this opportunity to also say thank you for allowing your members to continue to participate in one or more of Summit County's SORT activities. These incidences highlight how no single entity can get it done on their own. It demonstrates how well we can all work together with a single purpose when necessary. For that, I am grateful. Robert Ross, the Chief of the City of Akron Fire Department.
Chief, what happened?
This was down in Timber Top. It's right on the tip of Akron. A young man during the floods had fallen off a bridge. He was walking with his mother. And we sent our swift water team down, and we have a boat, and we sent them down there, and they assisted in the search for a couple days. Unfortunately, it didn't have a good ending. They did find him, I think, on the third day, submerged downstream.
Is this a boat we have because of the lake and water over at?
Absolutely. The Summit County has a team, they call it the SORT team, and it is made up of members of all the departments in Summit County. Some of our special operations are so hard for individual departments to try to keep enough members trained, technically proficient at it. So we have rope, we have trench, we have confined space, we have swift water rescue, we have dive rescue, and then we put people on those teams. We only have to have 1 or 2 trained people, but when you combine it with all of the departments in Summit County, they make up a pretty healthy team of people that have expertise in each one of those areas.
And
So
do we have
anywhere in
people on our
Summit County,
department?
in fact, anywhere in the region now, we're actually a response for the state of Ohio also, where we would be called to go in and those flooding accidents. In return, of course, we could call for them, and we would get firefighters from all of Summit County to come to assist us.
But do we have people in our department that participate? in
Absolutely.
that?
Yeah, we have people that are on the dive team, we have people that are on swift water team, we have people that are on the rope, structural collapse, trench
So
teams.
we're getting more than we bargained for.
Hazmat team, yes.
All right, so
Yeah.
they're doing things, they're doing rescue as in various forms, other than just plopping you on the couch, taking you to the hospital.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you. It's good for us to know this once in a while, because I think we forget.
Very good. Are we all done? Yeah.
Oh, yes, sir, I'm sorry.
All right.
So you're saying-
Moving on to the mayor's report. Real estate values are not only going up in Macedonia, but also in Summit County as a whole. Home sales in Summit County in June reached their highest levels for the month since 2007. In my opinion, Macedonia's home values are now going to start an upward climb and value retention and growth that will be proportional to the development of our infrastructure. Route 82's been a mess with a history of being a mess going back many years. The completion of the Highland Road Bridge will have the same positive effect the widening of Route 82 to 5-lane had on the city's finances. As each year goes by, we get more and more money coming in. Once again, we're above what we were doing at this time last year. We continue to grow our revenue, which is city income tax growth, and that comes from people. And the fact that they can get in and out of Macedonia. Of course, the effect the huge new casino in Northfield may have to our financial growth is also promising. All of this will mean Macedonia is the right place to own real estate. The fireworks display and activities on Saturday, July 20th were fantastic. even though a burst of unexpected rain tried to dampen our enjoyment. I'd like to thank our Parks and Recs Director, Angela Gimrick, and all of her staff for their efforts, along with Jim Digatano, our Service Department employees. They were all out there. You know what? If you have not been to one of our fireworks display yet, make sure you get it on your schedule next year. They are worth it. Ledge Road Bridge has caused an almost endless grief, but is temporarily usable. I say temporarily because the road was closed due to the concerns of our engineers and ODOT's bridge engineers. A lot of people felt, well, there's no need to close the road, but this was strictly about safety. The bridge was dangerous and still is dangerous structurally. The bridge belongs to the railroad. The railroad says there's nothing wrong with it, although they just installed screening for the falling rock. This is exactly what they said about the Route 82 bridge when asked to replace it, because we're going to widen Route 82 to 5 lanes. Here's the quote: "There ain't nothing wrong with that bridge. If you want to widen the road, you will have to pay for the new bridge." By the way, that bridge and Ledge Road Bridge are just about the same age. There were people in our town that said we did not need to replace the Route 82 bridge either. We ended up, though, spending $6 million more on that road widening because we paid for the all-new bridge, new railroad right-of-way, and we paid to move their fiber optic cables that they ran through Macedonia along the side of the track without obtaining permits. None of this will happen this time. If you think about it, we just made it easier so they will never, ever have to fix the at-grade crossing on Highland Road again. I don't know how many times they had to come out, and it was terrible. People complaining, just driving over the roughness and the rails and everything else. Well, you know what? It's time for them to step up to the plate and do what needs to be done. Fix the Ledge Road Bridge and fix it right. Because of their lack of effort and their refusal to admit what several structural engineers are saying needs to be done, including the top engineer in the state for ODOT, William Loeffler, we will be pursuing this with the United States Department of Transportation Federal Railroad Commission. Unfortunately, this won't be a quick fix. It won't be easy, but if you think about it, we're talking of possible hundreds of lives or even higher if we have derailment there. They're going to widen 271. They're going to be driving pile for another new bridge. When we think of the 271 bridge, we think of the bridge over Route 82. But there's a big, long bridge right over Ledge Road. One of the buttresses for that bridge is within feet of the Ledge Road Bridge. A derailment there, apocalyptic. As of 3 o'clock today, and I have to say it this way because it keeps changing, the Highland Road Bridge, will open early Saturday, July 27th. Now, this is still well ahead of schedule. I would like to thank all of those people that were involved there with the ceremonial ribbon cutting. From Dina DeLugo's high school friends to my staff, it was just an all-around good job. The dedication of the new bridge and naming it after Dina DeLugo's, who was killed in that spot, and dedicating the new road created by the bridge to Patrolman Gary Pastor, who was killed in the line of duty, showed that this city still cares about lost loved ones 30 years later. On another front, South Bedford is done, but it's not done. The city is not satisfied with the quality of work performed there, and we will not accept it until we are satisfied. What a shame. You know, we waited so long only to get a job of such substandard quality. Engineers for Chagrin Valley Paving and our city are pursuing what it will take to make it acceptable. So if you're wondering why it isn't opening, there's a problem. And it's your tax dollars that we're trying to get you your money's worth. And we talked about this, how embarrassing it was to have a road of poor quality where our high school is. And so now again, we got a road that's a new road of poor quality. But don't forget to join Nixle so that you can keep up to date on text bulletins from our police department. This new feature is provided by the Macedonia Police Department and is proving invaluable. And it's so easy to join. You simply text RZIP 44056 to 888-777. And you'll be kept up to date anytime anything's happening. And that's it for my report tonight. Do we have any committee reports?
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council. July 8th, Macedonia Planning Commission meeting. We were seen with proposed drive-through Panera Bread, and also request for site plan approval for a proposed retail center. The proposed retail center is at 463 East Aurora Road. And then on let's see, July 22nd, Macedonia Planning Commission meeting. We were proposed wall sign at Everstone Floors on Highland Road, and also proposed metal roof at 9352 North Bedford Road, a proposal for a cable park at Longwood Park, and a proposed rezoning for property located at 10277 Valley View Road. And
That's good.
Mr. Mayor, just want to point out, first of all, Angela, that was an outstanding job that you folks did at the fireworks. I attended, and it was just incredible.
Thank you.
And what really impressed me the most was just how nice everyone was. All of our city employees, police, fire, maintenance. It was almost as if they were working on a hotel staff. They were working so hard to keep everybody happy, especially in the rain. I also want to congratulate council too, because this is really a great council. And years ago, we provided the funding and the impetus to put the bridge over Highland Road. And this year, we provided the funding and the impetus to pave South Bedford as well as put the sidewalks in. Route 82's been open now for quite a while. We put a new bridge there that really took years. People prior to us were involved in that effort, and they need to be thanked also. But council did a good job just of keeping its eye on the ball, focused, and getting these projects done. It's going to really help out when everything's opened up. Thanks, Mayor.
Department reports. Jim?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank council for accepting this small-scale stormwater project. I think it'll be a good thing, you know, to make everything a lot safer for our handicap and our disabled patrons up at the rec center. We'd like to start that project now that it's approved, probably when they close the rec center during the week of August 19th. So we'll probably start the project then. Also, Nick Feeney and I scheduled a meeting for this Monday with Rachel Webb with the sewer district. And we have the paperwork that's all completed and will be turned in at that time for the North Bedford project. And while that's going through its approval process, we'll start the bidding for that particular project. it's one thing that we've learned with this new process, is that not only will I need approval from council to spend that money, but I'll also need approval from the city of Cleveland. So there will always be we will have to apply for everything, no matter, even though it's money that's put aside for our community, we still have to go through the process of being approved for the project we're doing. And then once we're approved there, then we'll probably have to come to council and say, okay, is it for us to take that money from the community share? And that's the process we'll always have to do. And that's why there's been kind of a holdup on this North Bedford project, but it will get done within the next, we're hoping, what, couple months? It should be ready to go.
Jim, this is a different bucket from what we have passed tonight, correct? The grant that we passed this evening?
Yes, it's totally different. This is, the grant that was passed tonight is separate, it has nothing to do with our community share. This is a small grant, and it's 100% reimbursable.
So at this point,
Reimbursed us.
what we have slated for the money we're getting from NEORSD so far this year, which will be done this year, is that one project?
Right now, our community share is at $57,000. We're estimating this project to be between 40 and 45 for North Bedford. It's not known for sure, but that's kind of where it should be. So we have the funds for it now, and that's another thing that was told to us from the district, is that the funds have to be there before we can apply for them or do a project.
Well, for the sake of the folks that live on that road, because you know very well, I've been very passionate about getting that project done, what's the timeline here?
Well, the paperwork will be turned in Monday, this coming Monday, July 29th, at that meeting. It averages around 30 days for approval, so that'll put us into probably the first week of September. In the meantime, though, we're gonna solicit contractors for the job. And so we should have them in place. Once the approval is given to us, we've already been approved by council, so now we can just start the project.
So I guess I'm just a little confused. The project that we're doing over at the rec center, which is also a stormwater because of the permeable asphalt, that's already got pre-approval from NEORSD?
Yes.
Okay,
that's been
so
approved. But it has nothing to do with our community share. It's a totally separate grant.
okay, but we're also trying to get NEORSD to approve the one in North Bedford. Why is that one behind when we approved it back at the beginning of the
We
year?
actually didn't have the funds. The funds, the $57,000 has been within the last month that we've acquired that money. Prior to that, we were like at 14 and 30,000. That's all the money that was in the community share.
We put that money in the budget in the year, though, right?
Yeah, that's money, the reason, Shane, is because this is money we're getting back from NEORSD. It's 24% of the money we send them, so it takes time for it to accumulate.
So by the time our residents paid all their new sewer fees, right?
Right. And
It's finally built up to that
And it's just
amount.
like, the way it was explained to me, it's just like taxes. You know, as our taxes come in, you know, they just don't come in at a certain time of the month or in a quarter. They dribble in at different periods. Because last week when I called, it was 51,000. I just called 2 days ago, it was 57,000. So there's no way for them to predict exactly how much we're gonna have. We'll just have to keep up.
So we're well within our realm of what we need, and we can get the
We're
ball rolling.
now we
will-
have everything we need to do North Bedford.
Okay, so it's
We're on track.
on their end, it's
Right.
not the money that we have in our budget. Gotcha, okay.
Right, right. For us to get all our monies back and to have it paid for, we have to wait for it to be in their budget.
For them to have it.
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
That's my
Okay, so that we're gonna, it should be within the next month and a half, you'll see that project starting to move ahead. Also, Republic is gonna reimburse the city service department for the time that it spent picking up the rubbish at Gardens of Highland. They're gonna reimburse us $3,100 for our time and for the equipment that we used on that particular day to pick up all the rubbish.
Due to the strike.
Right, due to the strike. So our people had to go there. There was one area they forgot to do, and we went there and did it. And so gonna reimburse us for that, for our time and for our equipment. We had the community shredding day, and that was pretty successful. We had like 337 cars went through. We did 26,362 pounds, which is equal to 13.2 tons of shredding material. And we had like 570 pounds of cardboard that was recycled. So we had Valley View screwed up for a little bit, but it moved on pretty good though. So it was pretty successful. And we have all our ditching is getting caught up, so it's going to enable us to really start getting into our projects of catch basins, crossovers. And we got some major projects on the roadways. We put them aside because we figured the last thing we needed to do was close another road. And we had a revolution, so we figured we'll wait till Highland Road's open and everything, and then we have a few projects that's going to require some road stoppages and slowdowns on our main roads, but we waited till everything is going to be done.
Good planning,
Okay, so
good
that's
job.
basically where we're at right now, and that's my report. Thank you.
Very good. Mike?
First of all, I want to thank council for passing the rezoning on Highland Road. I think that's going to be a great help for the businesses and also the zoning department. Thank you. Commercial update, new businesses, there's 17. Exterior remodeling and additions, we have 8. We have 7 under construction and 9 renovations for commercial. Residential update, we have 19 new home starts, 45 homes under construction, 6 additions, and 29 alterations. Zoning, we have 270 point of sales sent this year, or completed this year, sorry. 347 zoning letters that have been issued, and 83 noxious weed citations. That concludes my report.
Good job. Angela?
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I'd like to thank everybody who came out last Saturday to our summer celebration in Longwood Park. Unfortunately, the one thing we cannot control in planning these events is the weather. And I thank everyone who braved the threat of rain and the few raindrops that we did have and came out to help celebrate and enjoy the fireworks. The fun is not over this summer, so if you missed that or if the weather scared you off, we have a couple events coming up yet before summer comes to an end. August 2nd is our annual movie in the park. We will be showing Madagascar 3. We encourage you to bring your lawn chairs, your blankets. It's a free event to the public, and they have free concessions and entertainment as well, and this is in conjunction with Stone Creek Community Church. August 9th, we are having an outdoor concert at the Recreation Center called Rock the Rec, featuring Cleveland's Breakfast Club. So this, again, is another free event. We invite everyone to come out. We'll have concessions and beverages, and the band will play from 7 to 10 p.m. that night. And since we will not be meeting before this time, we will, I just want to remind everybody of our annual facility closing. That begins August 19th. And that runs through August 25th. So the Recreation Center will be closed for its annual maintenance at that time.
Andrew, just so everybody knows, what kind of music does that band play?
They're mostly 80s, and they're a wide variety of 80s. And they do have a website. If you do a search for Cleveland's Breakfast Club, you'll be able to see a list of, music and bands that'll give you a good idea of what they perform.
I'd also like to say job well done with the fireworks. All the staff and everybody was great. Kids had a great time. Always remind people to bring bug spray too, because obviously when it rains, the bugs go nuts. But another thing I wanted to touch on, building on that momentum, in the next meeting, I'm going to bring legislation for the community days for 2014. So
Second.
Start to think about that. It will be here in the next meeting. This council in January talked about it, said that we were going to do it in 2014. So you're going to have your financing. You're going to have everything you need. We're rolling.
It's good stuff.
Hey, Angela, the touching the trucks,
Mm-hmm.
that was a really awesome idea. I could not believe how many families enjoyed that and going down there, and they got to go in all them different trucks. That was such a cool idea.
Yeah,
At first, when I seen that, thinking, huh? And then, I could not believe how much all those kids enjoyed that. Having even all the service department trucks there, and that was really a neat idea, and the families really did enjoy that.
Yeah, the kids get a kick out of that. They like the flashing lights and the sirens and honking the horns and getting to climb in the trucks, and they really had a good time.
It was all around great. It really was. Thank you. All right, Scott.
Thank you, Mayor. We received a check from refund for the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Comp in the amount of $83,294, and basically the general fund will get the bulk share of that, about $62,000, because it's prorated back to where the actual funds came from. Rec Center will get $6,500, Parks $2,500. This was a refund that was part of that court case that all the municipalities and most private entities received. The state of Ohio was overcharging, and basically it amounts to about 50% of our annual premium, so that's a nice addition and a welcome. One of the things that I will bring before council is requested from Captain Ripley was to maybe increase our appropriations and possibly use some of this workers' comp money for installation of siren activated emergency preempt equipment, which is on Route 82 in Commons. It's been a project that's been spoke of for at least a year since I've been here, and we haven't funded it. And the cost is $12,760, and install battery backup is $6,600. So roughly it's about $20,000, and that was something that could be discussed at the next council meeting. But I'll put that on the agenda, and whether council wants to go forward with that, and maybe Tim can speak to that in a minute. The July 20th deadline, the 2014 county budget was submitted on time, and again, that's for 2014, and it goes through the County Budget Commission, and then they'll verify our current tax rates. As I spoke earlier, we did get another $500 additional ODNR grant, and that'll be on the next agenda to approve that. We're looking at different grants. It opens up from ODNR in September for litter grants, and then the FEMA grant starts another round July 31st to August 31st. And I'm going to work with Tim and some of his guys and try to put some grant applications together for equipment and possibly as well as personnel. And I have to admit, I have to at least correct Mr. Havlicek, and again, thank him for his years of service as a veteran, but he reported erroneously that Two Club Golf, aka our current golfing facility, only pays the city $1,000 a month for leasing that ground. That's wrong. The lease has been negotiated, and they are current on their up-to-date, and it satisfies the property tax obligations that are current. They pay, it's a 5-year concession agreement, and in that agreement that was approved, we actually, the cost of the property tax is paid, and then we also get some residual on top of that. And it was a structured, layered amount that I don't have in front of me because this was, I didn't realize he was going to bring this up. But it covers the real estate taxes, the current real estate taxes for the year, and then also we do receive some additional monies that go in by council from an old ordinance. It goes into the capital fund for, Josephine can help me out, that she researched.
For the rec center.
For the rec center, yes. So I just want to clarify that.
So the money's going back into the parks.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tim?
Yeah, Mayor, just to touch on the preemption, we have preemption and battery backup. How that helps us is when we're responding through, all of the lights will turn red for everybody except for the direction that our rescue squad or fire trucks or the police cars are traveling through town. They have lights on that activate off of our sirens. Everything turns red except for our way of travel. Park Avenue's already done, Valley View's already done, Highland is already done, and then also the off-ramp on Route 8 from 271 northbound is done. The other thing about that is battery backup is the lights work if the power goes off. We don't have to set a police officer out there, a firefighter, to activate, to be directing traffic in storm conditions when the power goes out. The light will automatically work. Nobody will be disturbed, by the light being off and everybody having to stop and back up traffic. So it's a huge benefit to us. Thank you.
Great. John?
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I want to clarify some statements made by Mr. Havlicek. He made a juvenile attempt to sound like my visit was devious and illegal or unlawful. The mayor, as an elected official, frequently gets
complaints. He takes those seriously, he listens to them, and he usually forwards them to the department heads. As for example, I had a complaint yesterday the mayor forwarded to me, and within probably 10 minutes I had it resolved. While he was on vacation last week, we had a complaint from a resident. I showed up without a warrant, and I had to bring Mr. Digatano into it, and within a half an hour we had that resolved. So these frequently happen. The mayor gets them and forwards them to the department heads. You know, after speaking with you, it's clear that I couldn't provide the professional help that you need, so that problem will never be resolved. Visit us on Facebook.
Professional help?
Visit us on Facebook. You'll see some updates there. We try to keep update on the roads. I get a lot of help from the department heads. Try to keep the residents up to date with road closures or arrests that we made. Another thought, as Tim said, battery backup. This one will be for the Macedonia Commons in 82. It's a very busy intersection. There's two portions of that light. There are times when I only have 2 officers working. That is a 2-officer intersection if the power does go out. Generally, when the power goes out, there are other things going on that need to be addressed, and I can't have both officers tied up there. When police officers are directing traffic, it's usually dark. There are no street lights. It's probably wet from rain, because that's usually why we have power outages. And the battery backup would be wonderful. We'd like to extend it all the way down 82 to 8 and 82. That would be fantastic. I don't believe we got that one yet. And I think we need to do 8 and Valley View. But
Shepherd Road will be soon.
Mike has done a nice job to incorporate the preemption and battery backup into the projects that come along. So Mike's on top of it from that aspect, but some of the older lights, you know, we're trying to get as we go. So Brian brought forth that. I checked with Civil Service. We got it to Scott, and hopefully we'll be able to get this one addressed this year, maybe another one later in the year, maybe another one next year, and preferably have the...
All good stuff.
Yeah.
You perhaps can tell people a little bit about South Bedford. We have bad news. The road is not to our satisfaction. However, you personally made sure that that light on Highland and Shepherd is being addressed. Tell us about that.
Well, as you're well aware, we get complaints from parents, from students going to school there. They have to make that left turn off of Highland eastbound onto South Bedford. It's a bad situation when they make that turn. I talked to Jim Digatano. He had some money in a fund, and we addressed that left turn so that the parents, students can make that turn safely. It's going to be interesting to see how the new traffic pattern flows now with Highland Road open. The kids, when they came out of the school, came down to Highland Road and pretty much could make a right without any traffic coming. Now that Highland's going to be open, that could become a bottleneck there, because there's going to be a lot of traffic. As we all know, Highland Road is a busy road, so that may become a bottleneck. We may have to eliminate left turns there after school. I mean, that's something that we have to work with. The schools are fantastic in working with them and try to resolve some issues. They've helped out a lot to resolve some of the issues that we had the backups in front of the schools. Casey has been fantastic with his staff. Joe Clark is so easy to work with. And when Joe Clark tells you something, that man gets it done. He is just wonderful to work with. So we've got a lot of things going on, a lot of help from the other department heads to get some of these things done for the safety of the city. And we're hoping to get that road open. I want to speak to Mr. Deemert after the meeting and see how we can maybe get South Bedford open without causing any, without the city losing any ability to fight this lemon, as you called it, with the paving job on South Bedford. But
and we also are going to encourage bike riding by donating a bike rack to the high school.
yes.
And they have a sidewalk to ride it on. Actually, there was one of our residents on that the other day, first time visiting his neighbors. He's in a wheelchair. So that's pretty nifty. All right, Scott?
And, Mayor, I believe Trimore is not completed Mike might be able to touch on that. I know we had a resident that was upset with some of the work with the sidewalk. I believe, I saw a Trimore truck out there today. There were a little bit of pooling issues that I don't think they're done yet.
No, we're not, and it's just, we have to add a couple pipes underneath some of the sidewalks.
So if
We're
their
aware of.
front yards are flooding, you're gonna be taking care of it?
Yes.
All right, good, thank you. Joe?
No report, Mayor.
Mayor,
All right.
Mayor,
Yes.
one other thing, please. In the interest of expediting this project, there's nothing else I can add as far as whether council wants to make the decision on whether we do this siren-activated emergency equipment. But since we're not going to meet again until late August, I was wondering if we could have a voice motion if council at this time would like to proceed. That way we can at least get to the ordering part of it and maybe move this project along.
Somebody like to make a motion?
I think you said, you made a comment.
What?
Mike, did you make a comment? Oh.
I'm sorry, one more time, Scott.
Sorry. I just wanted to see if, council's been provided with all the information about whether they want to reappropriate $20,000 for this project. We have the money in the 401 now, but obviously I would do amendment at the next meeting. But if we got this passed with a voice motion, at least we could proceed with the purchase of this, or start the purchase of this equipment.
You know, it's late. We've just heard about this for 5 minutes.
Okay.
You know, I understand everybody's enthusiastic, but I also think it's really unfair for council to be asked to do a voice vote. We haven't even had a chance to discuss it.
Okay.
And then when these things blow up in our face, not that this one will, it's all our fault. So I think I would prefer to wait till we have something in writing. We have a procedure. If you want to get your ducks in a row, you can get your ducks in a row and then come back to council and we'll deal with it in an orderly fashion.
Okay.
Josephine, could you please go over the coming up dates for council meetings, just so
Okay.
everybody's sure?
The next regular council meeting is August 22nd. The August 8th meeting is canceled for summer recess. The calendar that I have on there, I have that the 22nd meeting is canceled. And in fact, council is meeting. And then you heard earlier that council has set a public hearing followed by a special meeting on August 29th to accommodate both the public hearing for the ordinance 76, which will be the proposed rezoning of the property in the area of Faith Fellowship Church, and the special meeting is for the potential third reading of said ordinance.
Thank you. Good job. All right, is there any unfinished business? New business? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks for coming.